I never didn't believe in Bigfoot. I never believed in it. I didn't believe in it. I never given it any thought.
They kept wood knocking back and forth to each other, and it was in a pattern.
Barn owls don't typically throw rocks.
I come across these tracks.
Sasquatch is still not on my mind.
One thing I thought about earlier when you were talking about the connection between the little grays and the Bigfoot, I saw that you had 13 years the BFRO.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do they like the your particular thoughts on the closeted woo part?
Oh, they don't. They abhor it.
Yeah.
You know.
I got your biography. I printed it out, looked at it, I said, wait a minute. I said, that guy's a woo-woo guy, or got a little bit of woo to him.
Yeah, no, I got a lot of woo to me. It's a conundrum.
Yeah.
Because they falsify some of their reports, and some of mine included. And the stupid part is they redact your report and then publish it anyway. You know, I mean,
really?
You're just going to pour salt in my wounds, you know? And I didn't even find out until I started writing my books. And I was doing it during COVID. And a witness called me because they published his report, and they took the reference to intelligence out of there and published it anyway. He was irate. He was going, "What the hell? Well, this is my report. What'd you do to my report?" I said, "What are you talking about? I have no idea. What do you mean?"
Redacted.
And I looked it up. I went, "Oh my God." So I gave him Matt Moneymaker's phone number and an email. Of course, there was no response whatsoever. Shocking, you know. So
why do you think they hate that part? They are so against that particular part so much. I get shit from them all the time just in Reddit for messing around on there. I can't imagine being in the weeds.
My theory is they had a TV show when they had it to protect.
Yeah. Sponsors
didn't want any of that stuff, but the tide has changed with the overall belief system of like people like you and I, you know, everybody in the field. Is, you know, you can only explain so much with dumb ape. It only gets you so far.
It makes it hard to believe if it's a dumb ape. Like it does nothing for the cause.
No. And, you know, and part of it, you know, is a gorilla does not look like an intelligent being, you know.
No.
So they don't
look
like
a brute force animal.
Yeah, they just don't look smart, you know, like we do, you know. Some of us don't, but
except for this one, it looks really smart.
Yeah.
I had AI make me some caffeinated cryptids. That's what it came up with.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, but they routinely take stuff out, and the world's largest database is corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's virtually useless because you don't know what's in, what's out. You don't know. As a researcher, I don't publish reports for them anymore for that very reason. But I still have access to the database. And it's just shocking that, you know, a lot of the reports have just disappeared. You don't even know what reports come in that you never see. You know,
imagine so.
I'm not one of the cool guys, you know. I'm not one of Matt's little, butt kissers. I don't know, you know, what we see.
That's the craziest thing. I got kicked out of their group back in like 2012 because of it.
Congratulations. I'm trying to.
I got kicked out of the Facebook group.
I Yeah, I just divorced myself from that group. People keep going, I love your post. I love your post. I'm going, I'm not posting anything. Somebody is posting as me because I'm not posting it. I haven't posted anything on that page in 5-6 years since I discovered what they were doing.
So they're just going through like an actual user account that has a little bit of the special abilities in it, we'll call them that, and taking those parts out, like the Men in Black.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, my the report that turned me on to what was going on was a guy and two of his buddies went camping in Oklahoma. Are we on? Are we on?
Yeah, we're recording.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, that's when I started to talk about the woo. That was me being my radio voice.
Yeah, and so they went camping, pouring down rain. It was just nasty. They were, and that actually was when COVID started. So they decided to get away from Dallas and go to a place that he was used to and knew well in Oklahoma. It was right across the border. And so him and his two buddies, and there was pouring rain. It finally stopped, and they built a fire. They made a circle of rocks, and they built a fire. And they kept hearing these knocks from like a mile away, half a mile away, 500 yards away. You know, they were just coming around. It was a circular series of knocks. You could tell that Sasquatch were knocking to let each other know. Well, they were knocking, clack, clack, clack. 3 campers, 3 knocks. Nothing more, nothing less. Always 3 knocks. It was going around in circles. They're all, you know, knocking, and they getting kind of closer. And the guys were freaking out. And so when it quit raining, he got up and built the fire back up. And they didn't go to sleep till about 1 o'clock in the morning because they were just totally freaked out. Anyway, long story short, he gets up in the morning to make coffee, and there's 3 rocks taken out of the circle of rocks circling the campfire, and they're piled in the middle of the fire. So 3 knocks, 3 guys, nothing but 3 knocks all throughout the night. And then they take 3 rocks out of the ring and put them in the middle of the fire. So if that's not like, we know who you are, we know where you're at. I mean, that's like, we're watching you. We know who you are. We got you. And they took that part out. They took out the reference to the rocks taken out of the ring. Like, who does that? What does that accomplish? You know, they have a language. So you know they're intelligent. You know, listen to Ron Moorhead's tapes. You know, so they have a language. They are intelligent. You know, so what is taking 3 rocks out of the circle? What does that do? What is, you know, they took that out of the report.
Yeah,
what are the
it's like they're getting. It's like they're shills for some kind of 3-letter agency or something almost.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I know, and there's many other people. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people that are. You know, the only reason I'm there is because I still have access to the database. Because all you got to do is get one report that is like the report. So if I still have access, at least I've got my fingers on a source, you know. But it's absurd. But I know when I got into this head first, there was to be no discussion of woo or paranormal stuff, because we used to have this forum called the Blue Forum. I don't know if you were there when that was going on. It was not clandestine, but it was just a way for all of us researchers to communicate with each other and not be on the BFRO site clogging it up and taking data space and all that. I
vaguely remember a forum from a long time ago, just because I dabbled in it until recently when I started getting kind of serious. But I vaguely remember like checking one of those things out.
Yeah, it's called the Blue Forum, and we could talk about anything, you know. But when it got onto the BFRO site, we could not discuss anything like that. And then suddenly, about halfway through the TV show, Matt changed his tune for some reason and said, "Okay, we'll go ahead and just keep a lid on it, but we'll let you discuss, you know, paranormal, quantum type things." And so we did, you know, and then I got into a thing with Matt. I said, "Look, I tell you what, I'm going to take the 10 most populous states, reports wise, I'm going to tell you how many reports that you have stashed away that should be researched. And I couldn't even begin to scratch the surface.
Really? So it's like Pennsylvania and.
Well, the 10 most populous reports wise was Washington State, Oregon, California, Missouri.
Oh, I'm thinking
Michigan,
of like Bigfoot populace. Yeah, people populace.
Ohio, Florida. I can't remember. Tennessee, I think, was in there. Georgia. But anyway, there's 10. And there was, did you actually do reports?
Oh, me? No.
Yeah. Okay.
I just looked at the site a lot. I was a fan.
Gotcha. Well, they have categories. So it's where you file your reports. And if there was anything with paranormal woo, it goes into the UFO, hallucinating, insane categories. And you just stash reports in there. No one will ever see them because no one wants, we're not going to publish those anyway. So obvious joke, hallucination, UFO, paranormal, crazy person, insane, hallucinate. I mean, just all these kind of categories. So if it talked about, and I had several reports that ended up in there, much to my chagrin. But so you can bury those reports and you'll never see them, and now they're operating on fumes. And so they have very few reports. There's only room for like so many reports. If you wanted to go up there and look up your report.
I noticed how it didn't look as filled out as it used to.
Yeah, it costs money.
It used to be a ton.
There's no money coming in. So that's what they did was, just limit the amount of space that's being used on the server because they got to pay a guy to, run and keep the server up.
Oh yeah, especially
so that's what happened. So they're just a ghost of their former selves. They're not.
Just imagine if they decided to let some of that in and explore it, how close they could get, maybe to an answer.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. And you don't know, I don't know that somebody who's buddies with Matt, hey, check this one out here. You might want to go take a look at this. This is pretty cool.
You may have like a back door.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know what we don't see. I got to do the cough drop thing, so I'm not coughing on you.
That's fine.
Anyway, that's kind of how that works. Sad, very, very sad. But
what if he's keeping it to himself so he can get a hold of the real stuff?
Probably.
What if they're doing that? I mean, that sounds like
something he would do.
Yeah. I don't know him personally. I've never met him.
He, no comment. But he obviously hasn't found it yet.
No.
Or we'd be hearing about it. And it's difficult. My main focus of Sasquatch research now is the habituations.
Mm-hmm. The gifting sites and stuff.
Yeah. Well, the people that are living with them on their property for
generations,
weeks, months, years, generations.
I love those stories. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, I've got one family. They're into it about 24 years so far.
Really?
Yeah. And they're both retired and taking care of the land. It's about 200 acres. It's getting to be a little strenuous. So they may pass it on to a younger generation in their family who knows exactly what's going on as they were handed it. It was handed to them when they took over. Like it kind of stays in the family.
Yeah. So they knew about it when they took it over?
Yeah. Oh, Grandma and Grandpa, they got the Sasquatch out there. They got the big hairy monkeys running around. Oh, let's go to Grandma and Grandpa's,
The boogers.
Yeah, and they know it. And it's just common knowledge. And that's just what's fascinating to me. And I just heard from two more of I've got about 7 or 8 that I monitor. And I just heard from a woman about a month ago who told me they're back. Because about 6 months ago, she emailed me and says, I'm afraid the light is gone. They don't seem to be around here anymore. Everything has changed. The atmosphere, the feel, the lightness and the darkness of, the forest has just changed. She's into it in a very metaphysical way. But she just emailed me here a few days ago and said, I think they're back. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'll get you some pictures. And she was all, so she, people get used to them there and they get used to interacting, Some of it takes a while to get like face to face.
Yeah. You got to really grow that trust back and forth.
Yeah. Well, my folks, one of them here in Missouri, we'd been talking and I was going to come out and see him until I got COVID. And so I didn't come see him, but their old dog passed away and they got a new dog. Ooh. And the new dog is much more, it's younger and it's more aggressive and it's really very territorial. It wants to protect its humans. And so they heard all this ruckus out in the front of the house and they went out there to the front door. The dog was on the chain. He hadn't been put into his pen for the night yet. He was barking, raising cane. There was about an 8-9 foot tall Sasquatch standing just out of the light on the front yard, staring at the new dog. And it was just like he was growling and the dog was barking, and they were kind of like, it was kind of a pissing contest.
The dog's barking, Sasquatch is growling.
Mm-hmm. And the Sasquatch just standing there, but they see him often enough where to see it standing there or walking by the front of the house on the road, not that big a deal. I mean, it's like it happens often. It's crazy, often enough where they forget to tell you sometimes, Yeah. Did I tell you I saw a newborn last week? Mm-hmm. No, you didn't, Hank. You didn't tell me. Yeah, they showed me their newborn baby. It happens. It's like going to Taco Bell or going to Walmart. Running errands. Oh yeah, we saw a Sasquatch. Did I tell you about it? I mean, it's such a routine. It's such a cool thing. I mean, you and I probably can't. I can't relate to it. I can, but you wake up in the morning and you might see a Sasquatch, and it's out there, and you might see it.
Yeah.
Versus, well, I hope I see one. I've never seen one, but they live with them on their property, and they interact with them in varying degrees of intensity and frequency.
I kind of relate to that a little bit, not nearly on that extreme, but like where I work has bomb ranges where they test bombs all day. And most people have heard explosions like that size, they'd freak out. And now I'm like, I don't even flinch.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that's not the same really as seeing a mythical creature that you think's not real. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's in your mind.
Yeah. And so this family is one that I trust implicitly. And so they sent me a photo and it was at dawn. I mean, it was barely cracked. The light had barely cracked the sky, but you could see a large, hairy humanoid silhouette backlit by the rising sun. Trail cam got the photo. And in front, very, very close to the trail camera, was a juvenile, probably 3.5 feet tall. Mm-hmm. Now, if someone sent you a picture of a blob squatch, you'd go, oh, great. But I know these people and I know the beings they're talking about, and they're there. And that was the baby, probably, that he was shown, the newborn, a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago. They know it. They feel like that is. I just know it is, but they're posing, they're posing for the camera. Mm-hmm. They know it's dark and there's not much light, but they're not trying to hide. If they want to blur their face or facial features, you'll just get a blur. You'll it's a human, but it's totally blurred out. It's worthless. It's your typical blob squatch. But you can see that it is what it is. There's just no feature. But
and they can do it on demand. That's crazy. Like,
yeah, they'll just show up. And they have a subscription service, which I don't like those, but the camera takes 5 pictures every 10 minutes or 5-minute pictures every hour. And then if you get any more than that, whatever the levels are, it's like a Verizon, it's a satellite camera.
Oh yeah.
You can, it's a satellite trail cam. So you can say, well, I want to get 50 pictures a day. So that'll cost you more. Well, he knows all his hunting spots, so he's not real worried about, the game that's out there. He knows, but he keeps them out there because the Sasquatch are out there. And so he's got some pretty good photos.
I was going to ask if the people that live like that, the ones I talk to never get that have the what's that word? Habituation. They get the evidence kind of like that, but never like a full frontal clear. They're still doing their thing, the electromagnetism.
Well, it's a matter of trust, that's all it can be, because they know the people. Now, my guy is a Army vet, and he worked for aerospace industry for about 20 years. And for 18 of those 20 years, he would drive basically to St. Louis and back. There's a 2-hour trip from his house to St. Louis and 2 hours back home, plus his 8 or 10-hour shift. So he was gone 12 hours a day. And all these sightings, even though they knew that they had him out there and had seen him before, he thought his wife and daughter were just going bonkers because he wasn't there. They saw him all the time. And he was just going, you guys got to calm down because, you're just, they never were that prolific before. I'm not sure why they are now. Well, because the husband, the hunter, was gone. And so there's no threat of guns. He wouldn't shoot at them anyway, but they're very cautious creatures, and they, they're not going to.
They acknowledge the alpha male too, don't they?
Yeah.
Very cognizant.
Mm-hmm. So, but they were showing themselves to the daughter and the wife, and she was calling, "Oh my God, they're up on the front porch, they're in the front yard, they're in the garage, they're walking around looking at the cars and the motorcycles, and and he was just going, you're just freaking out because I'm not there." No, it's not that. I love you, but I don't love you that. I don't need you there. It's like, no offense, but it's not because you're gone. It's because they've never been this active. So they quit. When he came home for the weekend, they would come home. They wouldn't stayed with a sister or another family member because they couldn't handle all the action, all the activity. Mm-hmm. And so finally, when he got home, he retired and he was sitting on the front porch, and I've sat on the front porch with him too and had my vocalizations returned to me in exactly my voice. It was spot on, woo, 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 woo. I mean, it's a mirror image, mirror vocalization. Anyway, she said, they're on the road right in front of the house. Get your butt out here. And they went out there and sat on the front porch. She bought, without him knowing, a little night vision goggle. And he put it up and he looked at it and he went, "Oh my God.
Wow.
I'm so sorry. I'm such a fool. I can't believe it. Oh my God." He was just freaking out because it just sat there. Just like that Sasquatch was just standing there letting the dog bark at him. Here I am in all my glory. Here I am. I trust you. And here I am. Take a good look. And that was it. So, but they still see him every now and then. They see him. They're on the property. But that's just like a run-of-the-mill routine, weekly, monthly habituation thing going on. And this book here, I think you've seen that photo of the the face print. The face print on the this is another family.
I got your book covers lined up here in my overlays.
Yeah.
For those of you watching or listening on your cell phone, I'll put these on the website for this episode. You can look at them, but they're pretty neat. Just excerpts from his book.
Have you seen that photo?
Oh, the face print. I think you showed it the last time we talked, but I didn't get a good look. Yeah, the face print on the glass. Wow.
Yeah. It's not glass. It's the plastic
Oh,
on the greenhouse.
wow.
They make this family. They grow their own vegetables. Big. You got these big long 50. They look like Kwanzas, about 50 foot by 25 foot long, rounded thing, and they wrap the big plastic over the metal braces, and that's how they, they don't use the hard plastic. They use that soft plastic, and so in the winter. They have two of them real close to each other. They have a propane tank in between them, a propane heater. And so what they do is run the pipes into both of them. And that's where you get the condensation on the plastic.
Yeah.
So that was a juvenile. That one there is about 6.5 foot tall, maybe 7. And he takes a look out. He's been caught in there. Did I tell you that story about he brushed up against the owner?
No, I don't think.
Yeah. This being I just showed you, he got caught. Somebody was stealing all their vegetables, a lot of their vegetables, and eating some of it. And they're going, because that's how they make their living. So they got real ticked off, and they put up some motion lights. And they knew they had Sasquatch on the property. They saw them. They see them all the time. They watch them while they're working. So, I mean, they, walking around, doing whatever. They watch them. They watch the owners. So, and they would see them while they're working out in the yard and farming and mowing the grass and taking care of the cats and dogs and, some livestock stuff. They could see them peeking out between the trees and watching them. They're very curious, like Sasquatch are very curious about humans. Anyway, they're watching them. But one of them, they weren't sure. They thought it was a neighbor at first, but somebody was getting in and stealing some of the food they were growing. And this particular Sasquatch, which wasn't a neighbor, really liked the tops of the green tops on the radishes and strawberries. So he was eating his fill of that every night. And then he would pass out on the grass, and you see this humongous, it's like a deer nest, but you see this big, human, 8 foot tall body form on the grass because they let the grass grow, Anyway, so one night he wakes up, motion lights go on. It's about 11 o'clock, 11:30. He's going, I'm going to go out there, whoever that, I'm going to get him, So he went out there. All he had was his phone with his light on it because they had floodlights out there. So as soon as he leaves the house, he hears this god-awful guttural scream coming from across the way from the greenhouse. As he gets about halfway there, he hears another scream coming from the woods behind the greenhouse. As he gets up to the greenhouse, he hears a scream from inside the greenhouse.
But I bet he can feel that.
Yeah, he feels it in his chest.
Yeah.
So he opens the door, and that Sasquatch I showed you ran by him. It brushed up against him. They could have kissed. It was that close. And that Sasquatch, what they do, and I have 7 or 8 other photos like that, but not as good as that one. Of 4 or 5 heads pressed up to the plastic, looking for humans. So that's what they're doing. Somebody's looking out while the rest of them are snagging food. It's hilarious, but they have a system. So one of them is about 3 foot off the ground. There's 4 or 5 little heads. So I don't know if it's 4 or 5 little separate Sasquatches or if it's one juvenile moving around.
Same one looking around.
Yeah, I who knows? But they seem to be different sizes. But depending on how hard you press your face, and if you get all of it, you may look like, you're a lot bigger than you are, or look smaller because you only got half a face. Anyway, so that's what that photo is. But he told me that, and he's a young kid, probably 21, and just as down to earth. They're all very devout Christian folks. There's no BS in any of their bones. I've known the uncles and grandparents of these people for a decade. I met them when I first got into BFRO. He was the grandfather was one of my first reports. Class A, face to face, up in the blind. The Sasquatch is looking up at him, going, "What are you gonna do? You gonna shoot me?" Nah. He just looked at him, give a huff, and kept walking.
It's crazy how they can do that. They look at somebody with a gun and like, nah, you're not going to do anything.
You know, but they know that. You know, they're too human. How many times have you heard, "I had him in my sight. It was just too human. I couldn't do it."
A lot.
I could not do it.
A lot. I just released a video 2 days ago with that same phrase in it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how human they would look, but I can also the AIs you see kind of depicted as well, like just a person.
Well, yeah, but that one there, but more human, less animal. But that one there, that one I just showed you, it ran by it brushed up against him, and the other.
Did he smell it?
Huh?
Did he smell it when it ran by him?
He did not mention the smell. I think he was busy washing his jeans.
Yeah, I was going to say probably smelled itself. Probably smelled itself at that point.
Yeah. Here's another photo.
Oh, there we go.
See the handprint?
Oh, yeah. I see it now. I was looking at something else. Yeah, handprint.
That's him putting his hand up, looking around. That's what that handprint's there for. I mean, and you know, he put his hand, and both of those photos, all those photos, that face print is on the inside of the greenhouse, looking out, same as that handprint.
It is something you did mention on the inside. I was going to say, why is there condensation on the outside? So they're doing the lookout. They're scouting for humans.
They're inside looking out before they make a run for it.
And my family used to own a nursery, so I was thinking, why is it on the outside? It's on the inside in the winter.
It's on the inside. You just have to think of the series of events that are going on. Sorry, I'm chewing these cough drops, but it's the only way I keep from coughing. So, but you just think of the logic. They're looking out inside, stealing food, you know, and the food they're really taking a lot now is eggplant. They love human food, and they love the food that you just don't find in the wild, and that would be eggplant would be one of them.
I bet it tastes really sweet to them, especially the tops of radishes and stuff.
Yeah. And so, but that's just another example of a family. And when I went out there, been about a year and a half, I met 9 people out of this family. They all live within a mile of each other, 3 families, and they live within a mile of each other. And I got there, and probably 5 or 6 of them pull out phones. Oh, yeah, check out this photo here. They all had photos of Sasquatch on their phones. How many times have you ever sat in a room with about 8 or 9 people and half of them pull out phone and got some pretty darn good photos of Sasquatch? I mean, they're excited because I was there, you know, because someone they could talk to who'd respect them and respect their privacy and believe them, you know. And
were they good photos, like actual, like a human picture of a person, kind of?
Yeah. I mean, you know, some of them aren't that great, but you know what I mean. They got them on their phones.
Good is relative in the Sasquatch world.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just, you know, I know what they are, and I know these people, and they're just like my generational family that's been there 24 years. I would blow my brains out if they ever lied to me, because they're just not that. It's a sense of trust, you know, and belief, and so I know they would never, you know, defraud me. I know they would never pull a hoax. They don't need it. They don't want the thing with habituation, folks, and a lot of witnesses, period, they don't want the publicity. They want to talk to somebody who believes them and has experience with Sasquatch in a habituation thing, or just doing research, period. You know, I just kind of lucked into this, you know, because Missouri is just ripe with these guys. They're just everywhere. And so I just kind of made that my, I don't know, focus, I guess, on doing the research, you know. And some of them, 2 of them, happen to know each other. Oh, I know them, because they asked me, they said, so-and-so? I go, well, yeah, I do. How do you know them? Well, duh. There's an underground railroad of Sasquatch sightings. And
They all know each other.
yeah, they do. And, and we had a guy down here in Missouri. He's still active, and I'm watching for him, who has been going onto people's property and publishing their, because they reached out to this kid, but they wanted to get their story on tape with the agreement. There's no names, no recognizable faces, no recognizable landmarks, nothing. All the geodata is supposed to be removed from the videos and pictures. Well, he wasn't doing that. Then they asked him to sign a document and stating that they will not show their faces. Their geodata has been taken off and all the everything, complete and absolute privacy. He wouldn't do it. Then he sent them the documents. He drew them up, sent them to him, but he wouldn't sign it. So they told him to GTF out of town, buddy. You get off my property. Don't. If I see those photos, I'm coming after you, because I don't want my property overrun with overzealous humans who thinks they can go shoot a Sasquatch.
Yeah, or the government.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah. So there's a guy down here that's sniffing around. He's going to get himself in some trouble, because you don't piss off these old country boys. They got their own. They got their own frontier justice down here.
Yeah, that wouldn't go over well where I grew up either.
Mm-mm.
Sasquatch or nothing, just messing around.
Yeah, just respect, and boundaries and all that. So, but that's kind of where I'm at with my research right now. I've started another book. It is strictly habituation properties, and so that's all it is, And if there are some, paranormal things going on, I've got a family out in Washington State that she's got this gifting thing going on like gangbusters. It's crazy. I mean, she puts out these necklaces. I said, I turned her on to a Dollar Tree, and she's like hooked. She's going there and buying those, dollar necklaces and, baby doll toys and little teddy bears and things. And they're rearranging their gifting or back and forth. She'll put stuff out. She comes out the next morning and the necklaces are all woven into each other and tied to little knots. And she had a smiley face put up on a tree bark, and they got a piece of, like, I'm not sure if it was a piece of a bagworm or something, but they pressed it onto the little bitty smile and made it just really big smile, went up like this with this like dead bagworm. I think it was a bagworm. You know what that
Worm.
is? Bagworms are?
Worm art. I think so. Let me look. But yeah, I think I do.
Bagworms, they look like they're little bags.
Oh, yeah, okay. Caterpillars.
They're worms. They're worms inside of them.
I know what you're talking about.
It's fascinating. And they are manifesting themselves into orbs coming through the window, coming into the house, and manifesting themselves into their full physical form. Take a look. One of them's holding her baby, who's holding one of the teddy bears that they took out of the bag. She put these 2 teddy bears in big baggies, and one of the babies had taken a teddy bear out and was holding it. And it too, they came through the window. They just morphed. It's like straight out of Star Wars. They just came right through it. I've got a guy in Canada had the same thing going on. They're coming through the walls, coming through the glass.
Yeah.
And
wow, I've had a couple of those myself. I haven't even been doing this that long. That's crazy. It must be something I do all the time.
Well, I think so. And there's a level of trust, yeah. It could be just, hey, look what I can do. I'm showing off. Look what I can do, but her husband is a skeptic. And so up until recently, he was a skeptic. About a year ago.
I was about to say, how does that stay going?
Well, he got baptized. He saw one finally. And he admitted he'd seen them before. He was just denying it. And he finally admitted to seeing one. He had knee surgery, didn't want to take his opioids, so he was staying up till about 3 o'clock in the morning watching TV until he could just pass out from the pain and being tired. And one walked across the front yard. He went, I can't deny it anymore. I saw one. He told his wife. But when he saw one manifest itself from nothing to right there in front of him, I'm not buying that. I don't know what that is, but I don't believe that. Well, you believe you just saw one walk across the front yard, but it manifested itself into a solid physical form from an orb, and all the orbs are blue, by the way.
He witnessed the orb thing himself. The skeptic did. Wow.
Yeah. Now, they sleep in separate bedrooms at times because he snores really bad, and so she doesn't. She sleeps in another bedroom. That's kind of their office where the computers are, and this office window also looks out to the gifting area. So she's getting a lot of action there, and the mother's made herself appear several times and come into the house so she could see it in their full glory. And so what do you do with that? This is the kind of stuff people are just sharing with me. And all I have to do is not give away their location. I don't use their names. All the names in the books are fake. All the locations are obfuscated or erroneous, because it doesn't matter where it is, doesn't matter who it is. It's a matter of the activity is actually happening. I mean, Bobby, you've seen one morph in front of you, so it's a real thing.
Yeah, imagine I've never actually seen one. I've heard a bunch of accounts of it, just like people saying it, like you just said, nonchalant. It's too many and it's too consistent to be lies. Yeah. It's all the same. It's all the same story.
The only possible way would be, if it's a lie, is that you and I and several 100 other researchers have all found the same liars, and we're all telling the same lies back and forth over. I mean,
it
just doesn't happen. The sincerity,
not in that generation, it doesn't.
No, the sincerity coming out of these people, you can cut it with a knife. They're so sincere and they're so crushed and afraid that someone's going to make fun of them and ridicule them and their identity's going to get out. They're just mortified.
They sort of refer to the animals like they're a pet, almost like they're a family member / pet kind of.
Yeah,
attachment.
they have names for them. They give
Andy,
them
little Andy. They heard one. David Carter calls one of his little Andy.
Yeah. So, and it's a very tender moment. It's a very surreal moment. And when you're hearing these people, but they don't want anything. That's the whole thing. So if you're going to be a hoaxer, you want money, you want fame, you want your name in lights. Well, I got that funny. The AI is going to really screw us up. It's not going to.
It's already making it stupid on the internet.
Yeah. But when you're talking to these people, and some of them break down and start crying. Thank you so much for talking to me. Oh my God, my husband just made fun of me. We almost got divorced over it, or vice versa. My wife made fun of me. And, the sincerity and the relief and joy that they have, and they can talk to somebody without having to whisper, like your dirty little secret. It's just the Underground Railroad of Sasquatch. It's just
way more open now than it used to be too.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. That's why I say I think the tide is turning. There's some diehard apers that just will not let it go, and good for you. What you believe is what you believe. That's okay. I don't care what you think. Just don't be hateful about it if you don't agree with me. I'm not going to be hateful with you if I don't agree with you. I'm just going to say, well, your belief system is not the same as mine, and for me, it only explains a very little of what I've experienced and what I'm hearing. So I have to go down this other path. If you're
I've talked to people that do like legit researching before, and I just always, my first thing is, well, is everyone here, great ape, or there's any paranormal? And they're like, I don't think anybody's anything, but they know what they saw, so they can't deny what they actually saw. So I think that's what's starting to take over.
Yeah, yeah. But if they had to have seen or heard something that made it go to the paranormal side.
Anybody that researches them and sees them actually they're woo by default because they see it after a certain amount of times. It's inevitable.
Yeah, and I've had enough bizarre stuff happen to me, and my wife was the witness to one episode. So you just cannot take that any other way than what it is, bizarre as it might be, but it's only bizarre because we've been taught how to think, from the day you're born and go to school, you're educated for 12, 18 years to believe and think a certain way about everything, world history, science, UFOs, cryptids, animals. You're told how the world is, period. That's how it is. So you just go about your merry way. And if you see or experience something that's off the charts, you go, well, it must have been a bad sandwich I had. I mean, I might have had a little food poisoning or whatever, but that just can't be. So I didn't see that. And you just go.
I always say somebody's in the Jack Daniels. I'm like, Jack Daniels doesn't make you do that.
No, LSD or mushrooms might. Or some really good.
Should.
But the thing is, when you see it and you're a thinking person who goes, "Nah, there's something to that. That's bizarre. That just can't be with my common logic. That just can't be." You have to have an open mind. And you don't have to believe. You just have to have an open mind and consider the stuff. But if you see it a couple, 2 or 3 times, and you're in this like I am, not for a living. I wish I was doing it for a living, but it's what I do with every ounce of my spare time. And when you see it and experience it, and somebody else does, who's a rational thinking human being as well, what do? It is what it is. And so you take the road less traveled because you have to, and
that's the incredible part when respectable people start telling me that same stuff. Like, no, they're not lying.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've had it, but I've had it, the really macho hunter. Well, I've been hunting these woods for 30 years. There ain't no such animal out there, because if there was, I'd have seen it. Then invariably I get a phone call or an email. Can we talk? Because they saw something they can't explain. And a lot of that's it was too human. I had a bead on it, and I couldn't do it. One guy said it looked like his uncle. I mean, it's too human. Or it walked into a tree and didn't come out the other side. It just vanished. And that's what I saw. I saw one just vanish in front of my eyes one night.
Have you seen one?
Huh?
You've seen one yourself?
Yeah, no, I've not had any daylight sightings. I've had daylight sightings of shadows and humanoid shapes and stuff. I know what I'm looking at, but you can't see them. They're back in the deep, dark part of the woods. But I watched one disappear in front of me while I was watching it on a thermal camera. I was leading my first expedition for BFRO here in Missouri. And we were maintaining radio silence because part of our party was lost. They took a wrong turn. They were lost in the woods at 11 o'clock at night. And we were waiting for them to come walking around. So I was scanning the woods with my thermal camera. I wasn't recording because I was trying to save my batteries. The last time I'll ever do that again. But
it eats them up to record, though. I mean,
oh yeah, it does. It
might have been the best decision.
Yeah. Well,
human life's more important.
But now I have, $200 of batteries in my backpack at all times. I mean, I just over buy the batteries. If I run them out, I run them out. Pops them away. But I saw this heat signature coming through the woods. I'm thinking, oh, finally, God, here they are. Thank God we found them, Came around the corner. It wasn't them. It was a Sasquatch, a big boy. At least 8.5 or 9 foot, because we recreated the sighting the next morning. And it took one step. The second step, poof. It's like a flashbulb went off right in front of my face. I couldn't even hardly see. I was like, because it was like a flashbulb. It just, the heat signature just exploded, and it was gone. No dust, no smoke, no nothing. It was just gone. And I was with a bunch of close-minded goobers, bless their hearts. And I didn't say.
Were they shooting it too, or was it just you?
No, it was just me. I'm the only one that had thermal gear. And I saw it, and I told a couple of guys later on that night who were believers as well. And we went and recreated it the next morning and saw where it stepped and the whole thing. And so when you see that, I wasn't high, I wasn't stoned, I wasn't on any kind of narcotics. My gear was working perfectly. I have all FLIR thermal gear. I mean, it was, there's nothing that would have created a missight is that. It just happened. And it's like, okay, now I know what they're talking about.
That's crazy how you described it, like a flashbulb. It just dissipated.
Yeah.
Like a firework.
Yeah, and I still had spots in front of my eyes. I mean, it's one of those kind of things we have to, I use a FLIR thermal thing now that is supposed to be on a helmet, and it falls down right in front of your eye. I can't do that because I can't see where I'm going at night because I've got this bright light in my eye, and the other one's my regular vision. So it was kind of like that where I could not see because the flash was so bright. It was just like a flash bulb.
Yeah.
It went out and that was it. But once you see that, you can't explain it. I can now.
Yeah.
I've done some reading, but Moorhead and Ron Moorhead and them had the same thing happen, And
I've heard of people that saw him disappear in the daylight, but I never over thermal.
Yeah, I've got several witness reports where they walked into a haystack. One of them was some guys were hunting. This was in Oklahoma, another one of the Oklahoma thing, and they were hiding behind haystacks. Well, this hunter, who was a former soldier, saw one walk out from behind a haystack and was walking straight at him, probably about 50 yards away. He was walking straight at him. He wasn't sure if it saw him or if it sensed him or had just not seen him and just happened to be walking right at him. But he stood up because he was going, what the hell? And that's when it did see him. And it stopped and looked at him for a second, and it just turned left and walked into the side of a haystack. It was gone. He didn't walk behind it, walked into it.
Talking about Field of Dreams style, just right into it.
Yeah. So what do you do with that? And again, military, soldiers, law enforcement, they are trained observers. And he didn't want anything out of me either. He just wanted to get his story off his chest and to get some type of explanation or rationalization for what he saw. I said, well, I can't tell you what you saw, but what you saw is real because I've seen that. I've seen one disappear. So what you saw is a real skill set of these beings. Oh, wow. Really? Yeah. You saw it. You're not a crazy guy, are you? We talked, we laughed a little bit. No, I'm not crazy.
You're not on ayahuasca, are you?
Yeah. No. Aaron Rodgers, But anyway, so, but when you get stuff like that, and I've just put myself in a position, luckily or fortuitously or accidentally, however I got here.
You might have manifested it. You've been looking for them.
Yeah, but
they see you as somebody worthy of something.
Yeah, people are coming to me and telling me stuff. And, it's like podcasts like yours. Somebody who might hear your podcast go, I got to call that guy.
Yeah.
Or maybe I got to call Bobby. I got to call one of these guys and tell them.
There's people that message you like, hey, I want to tell my story, stuff like that all the time.
Yeah, and I get that all the time, And I got one a couple of weeks ago, and it was right when I had my surgery. I couldn't get a hold of the guy, and now he's kind of pissed off because I hadn't got back with him. I had my entire shoulder cut out, so I was
sorry, man.
Oh yeah, I was on opioids for about.
Won't happen again.
Yeah, well, I hope not, because that was painful. Yeah. But yeah, so, you know, but I get stuff like that because I'm honest. I'll tell you if I think you're mistaken. I won't accuse you of hoaxing unless I know you are hoaxing me. But, you know, what I do is I try to find an explanation for what you saw. If I can't, and I hope I can't, but if I can't, then you saw something. What you saw, you really saw.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain it away as, you know, indigestion or hungover or whatever. You know, you saw it, you know, and the best thing is when a skeptic and a believer together see it. It's like, you know, told you, you know.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah. So, but that's where my research is right now, because I don't need to convince myself of anything else. You know, I've seen and heard things. I've heard their chatter. I heard their gibberish. I've got witnesses that hear them talking on their property. You know, and they're going, God, it's just so bizarre. How can they? I mean, they're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're hearing them, and I guarantee you, they know you're listening, and they are letting you hear them because they want to. They let you see them because you're one of the cool guys. They want you to see them. They know you're
only give you what you. They seem to only give you what they want you to have.
Yeah, that's true.
Just the doses. And
they know if you're a good person or a bad person. Now, if you got there with, you know, 15 cameras around your neck, you're not going to see much.
Mm-hmm. Or a rifle.
Yeah, yeah.
Big scope.
They, especially with the habituation folks, there's a trust and they know the vibe. You know, they know a disingenuous human when they're within a mile of one. They just know they can read you. Trust me, you know. I'm a semi-professional poker player. I can tell you, you know, I can smell a rat. You know, I can smell something's up. You know, and it's the same with them. They know that you're trustworthy or not. You know, and that's why the habituation thing is so fascinating to me, because each party is getting to see a day in the life of the other party, of the other family. And they know they can be themselves, especially if they're going to show you their newborn baby.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean, bald-headed, you know, bare-assed, you know, a week old baby. I mean,
was it hairy?
Peek out from behind.
That baby was hairy.
Very little hair. When my guy, the first guy I was talking about, the generational guy, he goes and walks. It's a quarter mile to his mailbox. So every morning he gets the dog, the one that passed away, the old dog, and they walk up quarter mile to the mailbox, which is at their gate. Their entire 200 acres is fenced. And then they walk back with the mail. And that's the dog's exercise for the day. And so on occasion, numerous times, over 10 years at least, the Sasquatch will peek around behind the tree, watch them get the mail. It's like, what's that human doing? I mean, you know what they go, what's in that box? These papers. What is this thing? What's this thing they're doing with papers in this metal box? They probably have no idea. Well, it's my water bill, Mr. Sasquatch. You'd like to help me pay it, you know? Yeah. But they're watching that and they don't understand it. They know it's something important to a human because they do it every day like clockwork.
So have your friend the crows will give me money so you can pay the water bill.
Exactly. Yeah. But you know, it's just little things like that. Something you and I would take for granted. You know, I walked out to my, you know, mailbox today and I got my gas bill. You know,
I've heard they love watching people around campfires talking. That's how they start throwing pebbles. Yep.
I've been pounding with pebbles and little sticks so many times. And so let me know how we're doing on time.
It's up to you.
Okay.
I go like 90 minutes usually, just the conversations usually wind down.
Yeah. I've got at least 15 or 20 more. My throat's getting there.
Okay, that's fine.
Anyway. So, but that's a very fulfilling part of my research, you know, and because people are sharing intimate things with me that they wouldn't share with other people, because there could be some serious trouble.
Yeah.
You get the wrong people coming out to your property, you know. Now, I know you've seen that.
Right. I got that right there.
Yeah.
The finger in the hand. Let me ask you: Did the people, any of the habituation people, ever see any other cryptids like dogmen or reptiles, or is it all just?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I wanted to ask that question and get it in.
Oh yeah. No. I have just in the last year and a half, 2 years, started to get dogman reports on Sasquatch habituated property. In other words, they're on the same acreage. Now, one who I was supposed to go out and see them and actually do a little documentary. She got COVID and couldn't do it. Then when she had healed up, I had gotten COVID, so I couldn't go out and do it. But anyway, they've seen a couple of dogmen. One of them he described very clearly with the backward leg.
Ooh, yeah.
So that, and he's
the dog foot thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the backward, the leg's backwards. It's like a dog leg. And he said, I knew right away what it was. It wasn't supposed to be there, but it was, and it's on his property. A lot of caves on his property, and they live on the Merrimack River, which is a big river here. And my other family, the generational one, they live 80 miles away, but they're also on the Merrimack. So, but yeah, the dog man, no fierce interactions, no growling, snorting, I'm going to kill you, and that's part of what I don't like about the Sasquatch artwork. And they always show them to be snarling, grimacing, saliva and blood dripping down their teeth, and I'm gonna kill you. Well, okay, that sells T-shirts and coffee mugs, whatever. That's not their makeup. Now, you want to tickle one off, of course. Yeah, you're asking for it.
Yeah, that's anything though.
You shoot at one or have a gun near one, you get close to their family, their young ones. Yeah, you're in trouble. But so I've taken, I'd say about 4 dogman reports. And they were in conjunction with Sasquatch sightings, either right before or right after a Sasquatch sighting. Oh, when we were leaving, we saw a dogman. And they went to great trouble to describe it, just like that Brendan Fraser character in The Mummy. It looked just like that with the backward legs. I mean, they described it. And this is the weird part. I'm trying to remember the name. About 80 miles south of me is, gosh dang it. Anyway,
talking about land between the lakes.
No, this is Missouri.
Ozarks, Lake of the Ozarks.
No, I'm in Liberty. I'm in Kansas City, so this would be about 200 miles from the Ozarks. But there's Amarugia. Got it. Amarugia. There's a place called the Amarugia Conservation Area. And there's a band called the Amarugia Ridge Runners. It's a band. I've never heard of them. They're a local band from that part of Missouri, apparently. It's also an old Native American settlement. And then Amarugia is a conservation area. So there's no hunting or anything on that. But the Native Americans from that area have all kinds of stories about cryptids that are not Sasquatch. When they mention the dog man, but they call him something else in their native language, which I don't remember what it is. But it's called the Amarugia Conservation Area. And so I've had 2 people two different people just happened to be there at night, and they had sightings of a Sasquatch. One was on a full moonlit night, so it was no mistake what they saw. But as they were going back to the car, they saw the dog man, the one that looked like the Brendan Fraser creature in the Mummy.
Oh yeah.
And this is the funny part. His girlfriend said, blank this, I'm out. She hauled ass. She had the keys to the car. She ran back to the car, locked herself in the car. She wouldn't let him in until he ran around the car 4 or 5 times to make sure he wasn't a creature. They didn't have one around her. I mean, it's kind of funny. I don't know if they're still together after that. What? You sacrificed me? It's my car.
Sacrifice me to the dog man.
Yeah. But so I cool. A few reports, and my people that are near St. Clair, Missouri, live on the Merrimack.
Mm-hmm.
They've heard chatter that they cannot place. And it's not the chatter that they normally hear. This is what's kind of funny. Well, it's not the Sasquatch. We know what they sound like. I mean, it's that simple of an explanation. No, it's not the Sasquatch. It's like, well, it wasn't that little bratty kid. It was the other kid. It was the neighbor kid. They can differentiate between. And so, it wasn't like, it was just a comment in passing. Well, it wasn't the Sasquatch. It was, because the wife of my guy who saw the dog man has a communication thing going with a little female who she thinks is about 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And she watches her, and she kind of follows her when she's doing her gardening chores. And she's spoken to her before. Excuse me. So no, it wasn't the one that I'm friends with. It was something was growling and talking, and there was some kind of muffled language. And they hear it a lot at night. They come and drink from a fresh spring that makes this really small creek right in front of their house, and you can hear the Sasquatch. They'll wake them up. They're taking handfuls of water and bringing it up to the mouth and slurping, and it wakes them up. I mean, from their house down to the street, slight hill, it's probably 50, 60 feet. And there's a little gully runs along both sides of the street, and a fresh spring turns that into a little creek, and it just bubbles up, and there's water there, and all the deer and all the other animals drink from it. But they can differentiate between the language or communication. They have heard the Sasquatch speaking. They will call her name using her husband's voice.
That's just
when she's out working. My people in Washington State, it's the same thing.
That's insane.
She'll be out working in the yard. Husband's gone, and the wife's at home. Older couples, and she'll think, "Well, Chuck's home. What's he doing? How come he's here? You're supposed to be at work." She'd call him up. "Are you here? Where are you? What are you doing? Are you messing with me? What are you talking about?" It's a Sasquatch calling her name in his voice. Exactly. Just like I heard my call returned to me. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's almost paranormal that they can do that.
Yeah, well, they're the world's greatest mimics. I mean, you've heard that many times. They
the birds and the monkeys and the owls.
Oh, car engines, car
horns,
anything, owls, coyotes, anything. They can mimic anything, any person, and so it's a fantastic. But so back to the dogman thing. So they have what he is certain. She has not seen it yet. She's sensed it, but she is communicating mostly with the Sasquatch. But he drives a truck, so he gets up in the wee hours of the morning, like 3:30, because he gets to take his truck home. It's a big box truck, big one, and so he takes it home, and he has to drive down a certain road to find a place to turn around. It's that big. And so, but he's up in the wee hours of the morning, and he's seen it 2 or 3 times where he turns around, it walks out in the middle of the road and walks across almost to show himself. I mean, it's not in a hurry. It's just a leisurely stroll. And it just happens to coincide with him turning his box truck around.
Mhm.
I think it's intentional, you know.
Yeah.
But again, these are people I've come to know over the years, decade almost. I trust them, they trust me.
Hmm. I couldn't imagine haphazardly just seeing a dog man. I'm going to work. There's a dog man.
Yeah.
There he is.
You know, and I've got a video. I could probably send that to you. You'd probably find it very fascinating. But it is, they have cameras in their backyard, and they have an 8-foot tall timber. And the camera, trail camera, is strapped to the top, not on the side, but it's strapped to the very top. So the strap kind of goes over like this, and the trail camera sitting on top. And very unmistakable, non-human, tall, pointy ear. You see the camera, there's nothing there. Then all of a sudden, over here, you'll see something walking toward the camera. It notices the camera and immediately does an about face, starts walking the other way. And when it turns, you get the side of an ear. And there were 22 frames in this video, and I took 11 frames. There was 11 frames that had the ear in various stages of being able to see it in clarity. Then the other frame was just a dead frame. You know, it's just part of the whole process. So, and I have 11 photos. So what I did was I froze them all. So I got 11 different photos, and I have the video, and you'll just see it. And then it turns and walks the other way. Like, oh, there's a camera. Oh shit.
Like, oh, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. And whatever it is over 8 feet tall, because that ear is pretty much level with the lens of the trail camera.
If it's in that peripheral, it's like 10 feet tall.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying, that it's at least that tall.
Have to be. And
so I'll send you that video. I've got to make a note.
Yeah.
You'll find it, and you'll watch it, and what you see is, you see this little tuft of hair. You see this little tuft of hair like on the back of the head. And then you see when it turns the ear, that tuft disappears, and you see the ear on the side of the head. No eyes, you don't see any facial features, nothing. But it was like, whoop. You'll see it. It was funny, and there's another video I have, same people, of a camera that they set up after they got that video. They set up a camera facing that camera. So let's see if we can get something. Let's see if we can get whatever it wants to come back. And so what you see is something, its face is almost completely covering the camera that's taking a picture of the camera that got the ear. And you can see a little bit of movement. It's like it's looking at it and it's trying to figure out. I mean, there's movement, and you can see the camera that caught that ear in the background, way far. It's probably 25, 30 yards away. But you can see where it's at. And it's looking into this camera. I don't know if it's blocking it on purpose or if it's actually just like, what is this? Because part of me, I'm going, that thing had to know what a camera, maybe it's never seen a camera. It could be They're in an isolated enough spot. Maybe they do not know from.
Wonder what it is giving off the signal.
Yeah, they don't know from experience. Maybe word of mouth. Human, square box, eyeball, stay away, bad, juju.
Seeing dark.
Yeah, and so, but it is an interesting. It's fascinating to me that I'm getting this stuff. It falls in my lap, and it's pretty pedestrian as far as stuff goes. But it tells me that I'm on the right track, and these people are on the right track, and these beings do exist, and they are interacting.
They want to do something.
They're fascinated with our existence because they got families, they got kids, mates. I'll call them wife, but husbands, wives, mates. They bond. They have families.
Watchers and scouts.
Yeah. So the rest of the guys can sleep all day. I'm going to watch what's going on at night.
Do you want to talk about your book covers? I mean, we'll go into it. I mean, we're skimming over, but
yeah, okay.
I have looked at this so much since the first time we talked.
Pros, cons.
I want to say that it's that dude's hands, but the things are too pointy.
Yeah, it's not his hand.
It's too pointy. I can't make it his hand in my mind. It's weird.
Yeah, I know you want it to be something other than what it is. So you notice the timestamp?
Yeah, the 4 seconds.
That's the other thing.
Let me see if I can get this on.
Oh, you probably got it better than I can get it to you, but it might be too blurry.
It's gonna be the same look. Dadgummit.
Yeah, you can't blow it up
view.
But
it's the same view.
4 seconds. There you go. If you can get that top one gone. There you go.
It's
3:12 and 36 seconds. The one below it, with the hand, is 3:12 and 40 seconds. 4 seconds.
It's just crazy. I've looked at this so many times.
Yeah, it's one of those, as they say, if the picture's too good, it's fake.
There's your time frames right there.
Yeah. And if it's a crappy photo, well, of course it's a crappy photo. So, but this one, and the other, when I first put this on the cover and I got a bunch of crap for it, that guy's, that's fake. That's I have Google lensed it. I have looked everywhere. That is not a glove. That is not anything other than what
it's definitely a hand.
Yeah, it's a hand. It's not a prop. It's not a glove that fits over it. It's a hand of, I think, a juvenile, an undeveloped, not fully developed hand from, like a baby, juvenile. Now, the guy in the camera, he's the town preacher. They would be one of the people whose opinions I would find to be almost above reproach. Of course, the naysayers say, well, Joel Osteen, he's a preacher. He steals money from people and he lives in a $14 million mansion.
Joel Osteen. That's their,
but you know what I mean? That was the logic on some of the people who were naysaying the photo. You can't say he's beyond reproach just because he's a preacher. Preachers are humans. They'll screw people over in a heartbeat, just like regular people. Okay, whatever. I'll let you have that. I mean, I'm not going to argue over semantics, But I know the guy. I've talked to him. I've been to this property 3 times. I shot a short film for Hulu, which never did not get made due to infighting with the production company. Whole nother story. Anyway, you look at the shadow, that's 5.
I'll back it up.
Yeah. Okay. You see the shadow right behind the preacher. You know, it's dark, and then he's walking into the shaded area. You see the horizontal tree that's down behind him. That thing up in the right-hand side, that is not another Sasquatch. That is an above
Cedar
ground.
tree.
That's blind. It's actually an above.
Oh, yeah. Deer blind.
It's an above ground blind, and right to the right of that, you can barely see it as a feeder, a corn feeder.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of their. They have about 35 cameras in this area that they keep monitoring. They're all they're all in groups of 3. Anyway, that's his gig. He goes out about every couple of months, and they check the batteries. They swap out all the SD cards, see what kind of animals they've captured. But you see all that. Then if you look at the Sasquatch hand, let's see that now. You see the shadow is not quite as pronounced because this Sasquatch, or whatever it is, bumped the camera. You still see that tree that's horizontal. It's down on the ground in the background.
It's farther this way.
Yeah, and you see the trees look like they're moving. Well, that's because it bumped the camera. So it changed the lighting, and it made the trees look like they're moving. It's not moving. It was only 4 seconds. A gust of wind didn't come up. That wasn't what was happening. He never saw this being. He never heard it. He never even sensed it. We theorized, and he has seen other things of what I'm about to tell you. I think it just materialized. And it happened not to get the memo, hey, dummy, there's a tree there. I mean, pay attention to your surroundings. I think it bumped the camera because it is so close that it's blurry. You know, if you get a deer in the standard, 10, 15 feet away, they're clear as a bell. There's nothing left to the imagination. Mm-hmm. This thing's on top of the camera and it bumped it.
It's definitely right there. I mean,
yeah. So, preacher, and I've got in that book, there is a story. He, on this property, but a different location on the property, it's about 220 acres, what they have here. Strictly hunting. They don't live on it, it's just hunting. There's not even electricity. Anyway, he had seen, and it's in the book, a Sasquatch and a couple of deer. A couple of deer were sitting down in front of some trees in this little shaded area, right underneath the tree line. He saw a Sasquatch walk up and into the little area where these 2 deer were sitting. They looked at it, but did nothing, didn't run, didn't do anything. And the Sasquatch, it morphed into an elk with razor sharp teeth.
Wow.
Now, he's the preacher, and he said, this was a test from God. And I put it in the book. I let him write the whole thing. I just did spelling and punctuation. I left it because I wanted, you don't get a lot of religious overtones, or people will say, what's the Nephilim? Or they're fallen angels.
Fallen angels.
They're Satan, satanic. But he said, when I saw that Sasquatch morph into an elk, and those deer sat there placid, like they didn't even, like they see him every day. That was a test of my faith in God. That's how he took that event. Satan, the devil, was trying to have me lose my faith by showing me what he could do by changing into another creature. Now, elk do not have long, razor sharp, jagged.
No, they do not.
I mean, and he didn't have to tell me that story, and but he did because. And I said, Van, just tell me your belief system because I'm going to put everything because you're a man of God. So I'm going to put everything in because there's a lot of people that are religious, brought up in the church, may or may not go to church regularly, but you're a Christian. You're brought up in a belief system that there's God and good and evil and all that. Like I was, maybe you, I don't know, but I'm not a practicing Christian, don't need it. But anyway, of course, I'll probably get struck down for saying that, but you know what I mean? And so he told that, and it was just a matter of fact. He said, I knew exactly what it was. And he started, when he saw that, he pulled out his crucifix, he was pointing it at him. He was quoting Bible verse and scripture, kind of like the things you would say probably during an exorcism, something when your faith is being tested.
Power of Christ compels you.
Yeah, and so he told that, and he clearly knows the difference because they have seen Sasquatch on the property. He could have gone into that explanation with this book cover, but he didn't because it was different. He never saw this being at all, but there it was.
It must have materialized like right behind him.
Yeah, literally within. Just count this out: 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom! It's over.
And he's maybe 6 feet from the camera right there.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
and he would be in 4 seconds. He'd be 10 feet behind it.
Yeah, but if it materialized, it didn't have to be any feet behind him.
No, I'm talking about the dude. I mean, he would be if he just walked straight where he was. Yeah,
yeah. And so,
Preacher Jackson, whatever his name is.
Yeah, Preacher Van. And so, what do you do with that? I know these people. They don't want their names out there, their location, nothing. And here's the deal. I was going to film another family in the same state as this. And they are in a couple of my books, their reports. They got a habituation property. It's pretty good stuff. And I got a call from a film guy, a buddy, a researcher actually, out in Florida. He said, so-and-so and so-and-so wants to film your BFRO report, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I said, that's pretty cool. That's one I would have picked if I was going to do something. They saw one of your reports and they want to do a filming. So call your folks and see if they're up for it. So I called them up, and they've been nice in the past, but they just turned into just nasty people. They said, well, we want money. We want, we want some material things. We want, I forget what they want, but they wanted stuff, money and some gear. I said, that's not how it works, guys. No, they want to come film you and you. Well, no, if we can't, get paid for it. And I've been talking to them for the last 3 years. I've known them, and they just went ape shit on me, pun intended.
Somebody got to him.
Yeah. And so I know who it was, and I can't say because it sounds really bad. I can tell you off camera who it was. So anyway, I called my guy and I said, well, my people have just turned into absolute jerks. So, but I just happened to have gotten a photo that you will not believe, and it's in the same state. And I'm pretty sure they would be willing to have a film crew come out. So I said, I'm going to send you this photo. You send it to the people in New York. And while you're at it, I want you to have them look at that and see if it's fake. Within 2 hours, I got a phone call. We're on our way. We're coming. We're going to do this. They could find no manipulation of, no fakery, no nothing. No pixel manipulation, nothing on there. I can do an average job of determining if something's been manipulated. I have just enough, skill to be, dangerous. And so, but I couldn't find anything. But who am I? I don't know the technical aspects. So anyway, they call and they get out. They were all over that. They were going, oh my God. So they went out there. If it was not for seriously infighting between two different factions in this Hulu group, this would have been on TV somewhere. So they came out, and the preacher goes, all he had was this handprint that he showed me. And he said, Carter, I've got a picture of me walking right by that same camera. I think it's about 10 or 12 seconds off, but I walked right by that same camera right before this hand showed up. I'll see if I can find it. And he found it, except it wasn't 10 or 12 seconds. It was 4. I was going, holy crap. Hallelujah. So, again, this stuff falls in your lap, and, the haters and trolls came out and were vilifying me all over Facebook and the internet until I just gave back to them what they were giving to me. I was a prick, just like they were, and they went away. People get envious and jealous over this stuff. We're all in the same field of research. We're all trying to get the same answers to the same question. Who or what are they? What are they doing here?
I don't understand the animosity between folks.
Yeah, and I got roasted over that book cover. But I sold out of the books twice. I'm going to have to order some more.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I'm not getting rich on it, and I don't care about that part of it. But that kind of stuff makes the world go around. Makes you want to wake up the next morning doing the same thing.
Makes the first time it flipped over that it might be real to me, I had a hard time going to work.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell, man? What are we doing over there?
It's like you met the woman of your dreams or something. You can't get that out of your head.
Like, what are we doing with our lives?
Yeah, I know. We're chasing, hominids, unknown hominids around.
We'll wrap it up with this bad boy. I love this story.
That is so cool. And I'll make it real brief because I'm losing my voice. But
I don't want to keep it. This is one of my favorite. I like it more than the game camera story, actually.
Oh yeah. Because
it got that personal element to it.
This was a sign that I had been accepted by this clan in Illinois. This was a BFRO expedition I led in 2019. And I had 4 people and my partner, Harold. And it was before COVID. The person who was going to do this expedition canceled at the last minute. BFRO guy had a family problem or got sick or something. He couldn't do it. So they canceled, except for these 4 people. They said, we want to go. We paid our money. We don't want our money back. We want to go. Find somebody. Please, please, we beg you. We want to go. We love this. So they put out an APB. I answered, well, what the heck? I haven't done one in Illinois. I get to see my buddy Harold. So I went and did it. So there was 4 of us. We had 2 nights, Friday and Saturday, awesome activity, a lot of footprints, a lot of arches, a lot of trees pushed over. When we found these 4 or 5 really good footprints, they pushed over small saplings covering the footprints so we couldn't find them again. Because we'd already cast them. I left them in the mud overnight so they get good and hard and cured. And so, but the next morning we went out to retrieve them, and they pushed trees over on top of each one. I don't want you taking our footprints. This is my stuff. Well, no, I'm taking the footprints because they're not even mine. They belong to the people who want to go on the expedition. Anyway,
Was your plaster still in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They were saplings. I mean, they were like, they didn't even weigh as much as a Christmas tree. They just pushed a sapling over to hide it. Anyway, so we had no interaction. We had sticks and little rocks thrown at us, and we could hear them watching us. This gully we were in, where this tree log is, was about 25 feet below the regular topography. And so they were up on either side of these, this hill looking down at us, kind of unnerving it, 1 o'clock in the morning and you're in pitch dark and, you know, these giant beings are standing above you looking at you, but they just would not interact. It was just kind of odd. There's a story behind all that, but that's a whole other story. So anyway, we had a great expedition. And so the next year, 2020, I called Harold. I said, you know, COVID's in full swing now. We can't do much, but I want to come down there. And I just drove literally to 325 miles away in Murfreesboro, Missouri, Illinois, to go see if this one area still had the same magic, because it felt really good and vibrant. You know, when you
That's where the big muddy creature was, Murfreesboro, Illinois.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, there's another reason this area was taboo to everybody in town. When I went there in 2019 was scouting, I said, where's a really good place to look for Sasquatch? Well, I'll tell you where you don't want to go, and that's down here by the water plant, because there's something going on in those woods. Anybody near here will go anywhere near there at night. Not the baddest hunter in town. They won't go there at night. Something's weird, spooks everybody. Well, that's where I want to go. And that's where we went. So anyway, I go back and meet Harold, 2020. We camp at our little remote camping site. We go back and walk over here. Now, Harold has had a stroke and cancer. So he could not make this hike all the way down to the bottom of this ravine and go back up. He just didn't have the physical strength. So he sat in his car the first night, and the second night with the expedition goers, he stayed back at camp, just recuperating because he just couldn't do it. So scoot. And you see at the very other end of the rock of the log.
Yeah.
You see that round rock?
Yeah, this one.
That's him.
Well, that's his representation of a Harold.
That's Harold, because he's kind of short and squat. He was there, but he wasn't there. The 4 rocks are the 4 expedition goers. The bigger pointy rock is me, the expedition leader. Now when we went there in 2019, this log is where we stopped both times for the night, Friday and Saturday night. It was just a good stopping point.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't scouted the other area. I usually don't take people on an expedition into an area that I haven't already been, just so I know it's safe. So we didn't go past that. So this is 2020. We went back there, and it still had a good vibe. It had a really good vibe. So I said, Harold, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave a camera here, and we'll go back to camp, and I'm going to get it on the way back home to Kansas City in the morning. And that's what I did when I got here. I'm filming this, and I've taken a picture, and I'm going, what is this? There was nobody here. It's COVID. There's nobody out. And it's October, and we went exactly 1 year to the day of the previous expedition. And so at 5:30, it's dark, and nobody is out there in this area. Nobody goes there in this town area anyway, because it's a creepy area. Nobody likes it. I'll tell you why in a minute. So, but we were there till about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So if somebody did come through, they would have had to come through in about a 3-hour window to put all these rocks up. And there was just nobody out. And serendipity wise, that is me and the 4 expedition goers. That little short round rock is Harold, who was there but wasn't there. That's all it could have been. They were making contact. I get chills every now and then. I start getting teary-eyed when I talk about this, because it's such a seminal moment in my life. So
yeah,
I'm looking at this going, oh my God. I call Harold. He's freaking out. He's back at camp. I said, well, no, you can't come down here anyway, because you won't make it. So I'm getting pictures. I called my wife, and I was freaking out. And she goes, well, what time did that happen? I said, well, I don't know. It had to have been after like 6 o'clock at night, because it gets dark, and we were here till 2, and there's just nobody out. Nobody comes to this area anyway, because it's haunted. So I said, why? She goes, well, 8:30 last night, I'm getting ready for bed, and this blue orb comes flying into our bedroom, about the size of a golf ball. It makes a couple of passes in our bedroom. She not only sees it physically, like she sees it, it's there, but it's also reflecting in the mirror in our dresser. So she knows it's a real thing. It's not a reflection from a car's passing the way our house sits. That's not a possibility. Sasquatch were letting me and her know that they know where I live. I'm one of the cool kids.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? They were communicating that we know who you are. Those rocks are for me and the 4 expedition goers. The rock on the other side was Harold. And I know that's his rock because I had dusted it for fingerprints. And there was still fingerprint powder on the bottom of it. It was one of the rocks I found when they had covered our footprints with their tree, with their saplings. And I thought, well, maybe there's I knew that rock wasn't there. It was in disturbed dirt. It was in a root ball dirt. I thought, well, maybe there's a fingerprint on here. And there was none. But a year later, they're using that same rock to signify.
That's crazy. Was it his fingerprint or the Bigfoot fingerprint?
There's no fingerprint. I was dusting to see if there was.
Oh, I see what you mean now. It's the same one.
Powder. There was still, it was the same rock because there was still powder underneath it. Now it's been exposed to the element for a year, so of course it's rained and stuff on it. But there was just enough black fingerprint powder because I carry a DNA kit with me at all times. I have a DNA kit. I can take blood, scat, fingerprints. I got a kit for all that stuff. And so on the bottom of it was just enough fingerprint powder for me to go, yes. Now, if that doesn't tell you something, you know, and I literally, up until recently, but this may be the first time I've ever told this story without getting teary-eyed, because it's such an emotional thing that, you know, all the things I've done, all the places I've been, all the people I've met, this was a shoulder tap. Like, hey, pal, gotcha.
It's like a double whammy with the fingerprint powder. Same rock.
Yeah. And here's the deal. This is the Trail of Tears. Nobody goes to this area because 94 Native Americans froze to death and were buried all through this area up on top. And several years before we got there, a tremendous rainstorm had come through and washed down this gully and exposed several graves. And that was why nobody goes down there ever again, because that has bad juju.
That explains the activity too.
Yeah. The Sasquatch know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
They have no problems with it because, you know, they've had a symbiotic relationship with Native Americans for tens of thousands of years. You know,
somebody told me this week, anywhere there's Native American, there they are.
Yeah, yeah. So that, and since then, I've gotten visual messages as I'm trying to go to sleep at night of where they live. They've shown me this place. They've shown me another place, which looks just like my area in Missouri. Ellington, Missouri is another research area. It's where I saw that one disappear. And so they showed me these places, and they showed me a day in the life. Kids are running around poking sticks in the dirt looking for bugs, and, you know, they're playing with each other, just running around, and a couple, 2 or 3 Sasquatch laying around. I said, where is this? Because this looks really familiar. And they just said, home. This is home. That's all they said in my head. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm, you know, my wife and I don't sleep very well. So we listen to meditation at night. And as you get into that alpha state where you're starting to go into sleep. That's when I started getting mental images, and they are showing me I'm going down this forest trail, and I'm moving about this speed, but everything is whizzing by me, but I'm only moving like 5 miles an hour, and this stuff is flying by me like it's 80 miles an hour. It's a weird, but their sense of time and space is considerably different than ours. So that doesn't really surprise me. It just throws you off when you're trying to, figure out what is that, But they show me that stuff. Now, that is so far left of dumb ape, I might as well
kicked out of BFRO twice.
Yeah, I get kicked out twice. I might as well be on Uranus, But it's just it's fascinating, and it's what happens to me because of and through my research. And there's a lot of other guys that have the same things.
Mm-hmm.
You're hearing about it, and you maybe haven't had that experience yet, but you will.
Knowing me, I'll probably get into it sometime.
Oh, you will. Something will happen to you one day, and you'll go, aha! I'm gonna call Carter. Tell him.
Deeper I go, man.
Yeah, the rabbit hole. You don't have to go very deep. You just have to be, run into the right people at the right time, with the right beings at the right time.
Let me tell you, I don't want to keep any longer, but that actually happened to get me into a research place 2 weeks ago. So yeah, a lot of stuff came together, and it was perfect. I was like, what the hell, am I supposed to go to this?
Yeah, well, no, go ahead, tell me. I'm just telling you, my voice is running out, so I've got.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I think my kids want me to come back there too. But yeah, I just changed companies. I didn't change jobs. That's how government contractors work. And I'd got invited on one research group one weekend and one research group the next weekend, which one had just passed.
Mm-hmm.
And I told the first person, I'm like, I don't know if I'll be able to go 2 weeks in a row. And they're like, yeah, go ahead. And about the time I said that, I got a text from my mom. She said, do you want me to keep the kids this weekend? And I'm watching the text come through when I'm on a podcast back here. And it's like, yeah, come and get them. I'm like, the kids are gone. And I happen to be out processing, quitting my current company, previous company that day I would leave. Well, they kicked me out right after lunch. And so I got off work early and full pay for the whole day because I was, and I'm like, well, the kids are gone and I'm off. It's a 3.5 hour drive. So I'm off right after lunch. And I got there and I had the best weekend ever. And the next weekend they canceled. And so I met all these badass researchers. And then the one I thought was going to be the heyday, the honey hole of meeting people, didn't even happen. I'm like, wow. It's like everything pushed me. Like I even found gas that was like 25 cents cheaper when I left.
There you go.
I'm like, what the hell, man?
Well, Sasquatch know that. They know we pay way too much for our fuel. They can just teleport.
Hey, it was a weird turn of events that fell like dominoes in front of me.
That's how it happens. That's how the most innocuous, simple phone call or serendipitous event can turn into like, oh my gosh. And that's
my air mattress deflated.
Yeah. And that's those rocks on that log. There was, if I had just been a little more in a hurry, I could have noticed it. Yeah, I wouldn't have noticed it, or I thought, well, maybe I missed that yesterday. Maybe that was there last year. I just didn't see it. Oh, well. And you just go on about your business. But it caught me because I knew that was not there the night before. They came after we left, and I put my camera there and put those rocks there and see if I'm paying attention, which I am. Usually I am. And it took me about 2 minutes to realize what I was looking at. Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. I was just jumping up and down like a little kid, and I called Harold and he was going, and so anyway, it was just a fortuitous. And had I been in a bigger hurry or if it had rained, I'd have just gone over there, grabbed my camera, and gone. Of course, there's no pictures on my camera.
Of course.
But they gave me a picture worth a million words with just those rocks laying there.
Oh yeah. They also killed my earbuds too.
Oh,
I put one of my earbuds in. It started going, and the other one wouldn't work. I'm like, what the hell, man?
So you never know when it's going to just fall on your lap, and sometimes you get stuff and I have to look at it 4 or 5 different times before I go, wait, I know what that is.
Second.
You just don't know. Sorry, I'm coughing now. So
yeah.
Anyway,
we can go ahead and wrap it up. I mean, I'm
yeah, we probably should, because I can tell my throat's getting dry to the point where I'm gonna.
I got to go whip some kids, and you got to go take a cough drop. So it's just the perfect time to end it.
Yeah.
All right. We'll go ahead and
all suppositories, but I know it's just a.
Do you have a website? Do you want to?
Yeah. SQExplorer.com.
All right.
SQExplorer.com. Just like it, Sasquatch Explorer, but SQ. Oh. And I'm selling all 3 of these books right now because Christmas is coming up. All 3 for $50, and they're full color, autographed, nice paper. I mean, they're really nice, put together books. And I'll pay the shipping. So it's $50. You get 3 real nice books. You can keep one and give 2 as gifts.
Leather bound.
Yeah, they're nice. They're nice books. You can see they're good, and it's all color photos and stuff. So
they look like the books you have to read in a college class. Those books.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Thanks everybody for watching, and thanks for coming on, Carter. We'll go ahead and drop out of here. Signing off from Sasquatch Central.
Yeah. Well, send me that link, and I'll push it when you get it ready.
Okay, it may be like 2 to 3 weeks.